What happened? Joining me now, Corey Lewandowski, senior official for the Trump-Vance campaign and NewsNation correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera. All right, Geraldo, first question to you, just big picture, what do you think happened here?
I just think that the American people liked him a whole lot better than they liked Vice President Harris. She was kind of a dull campaigner. She had a couple of moments of brilliance, but it was a surprise, a shock. I think people took a while to get over the Joe Biden is no longer the candidate, and then the whole lightning process by which she got the nomination. It's difficult to parse one single thing other than to say there was a real judgment that Trump, the most charismatic, best ad-libber, best, biggest public figure since Muhammad Ali was in the public stage, that he just overwhelmed Vice President Harris. I also think it's impossible to overlook the role played by race and gender. I know people don't like to talk about it. It's icky. But if you don't, then you're not being honest intellectually.
You really think so, Geraldo? I mean, you really think that, for example, President Obama was elected. I can see the argument on gender to some degree, but the idea that race and gender, it does feel like a cop-out, right, to sort of attribute it to that, no?
Well, remember, I put it in the context of the other things that I said. Trump was a much better campaigner, much more, glibber, more eloquent. But I do, Dan, I think that when we see, the history of the country, the fact that almost every single report on Kamala Harris talked about the historic nature of her candidacy. You can't talk about the positive side of it without also remembering what makes it historic. What makes it historic is the history of this nation and what we have been through as a nation, and the historic roles played by men and women. It's a very, very difficult. There's a reason we've not had a female president, and there's a reason we've had only Barack Obama in our 2.5 centuries.
You mentioned men and women. Corey Lewandowski's got a big smile on his face, understandably so. Corey, I want to play you the ad that I think was the single most important ad that the Trump team put out. And I say this in talking to people who didn't love Donald Trump. But when I would ask them, well, then why are you voting for him? The number of people who cited this, and I'm curious if you agree on this, Corey. Let me play this. This is number 9. This is a political ad that was played during the campaign.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
Corey, in terms of internally at the campaign, was that seen as one of the most impactful ads?
Well, Dan, I think there are 3 big issues that we saw in this campaign cycle. Obviously, the economy, and it's always the economy. The second one was the issue of immigration, and specifically illegal immigration. But the third was this one, the one that you're articulating now, which is boys or men playing in girls' sports. And so whether you are an 18 to 25-year-old female, or you're that mom who has a 14-year-old daughter who doesn't want a 17-year-old male in that locker room, it was the story that really almost went under the radar screen, but I believe a lot of the Americans came out and said, we don't want biological males playing in girls' sports. And listen, a number of the media outlets today talked about the impact that this ad had to the American electorate, because yes, the economy is one thing. Yes, illegal immigration is a different thing. But all of us who have these daughters don't want these grown men competing against them.
Geraldo, you agree or not?
I do. I absolutely do. I think that the 2 biggest issues, at least as presented by the Trump camp, were the transgender business, even though it's been grotesquely exaggerated in terms of the numbers of people involved in it, and also the way immigration was portrayed as this invasion of the people of color, pouring across the border, changing the basic nature of the country. They made it seem an invasion, and it really was the Democrats' biggest vulnerability because they did blow it and went to the competence issue of the vice president, the fact that she, as border czar, did so little in what she did do seemed to have a negative impact.